So basically, it's where they want to kind of regulate what we see and make Canadians see more Canadian friendly content, whatever that's supposed to mean. And it might also change the algorithm so Canadian content is not promoted as much worldwide. So for us that make videos, we can be negatively affected by this. Now, I actually recently found out a few days ago that it actually passed and it likely might turn into law. And the person, I forgot what he is, like what he's in charge of. His name is Pablo Rodriguez. I think he's like, oh, it's not going to affect user content, but I personally don't believe that. I feel like it will affect us. And I'm concerned that not a lot of people are speaking out about this because this is technically a censorship thing. And, they think that maybe we are exaggerating it or this is like not true, but it's right there. And people have actually gone to parliament to speak about this. People have had petitions, but I guess they're not listening.
So you said the law's being passed. The bill's being passed.
Yeah, so they passed it. So now I think they have to just talk about it a little bit more and then they could actually implement this.
So the way they would have to implement something like that, it would need to be sort of rolled out to all of the big tech companies. Like it would.
Yeah, so they mentioned YouTube, Netflix. It's like an online streaming act, so it will affect all these platforms. And they said that they did something like this like years ago, but that was like before really the internet came out really and all that stuff. So there was like a first, a second, and third reading. So the bill was actually adopted at the third reading, which happened like 5 days ago. And basically, the message was sent to the House of Commons to tell them, the Senate, that it passed with some amendments. So basically, it seems like they're going to actually implement this, and it concerns me. Like, do I have to start using a VPN now when I post? Like, I don't know how this is going to work, but it does not seem good.
Yeah. Canada, being from England and seeing what's happening in Canada, to me personally, it looks like Canada are trying everything they possibly can to do with censorship to gain control over the people within the country. And all the other countries are just sort of stepped back for a moment to watch how it plays out, what the end outcome looks like before they can try and do it. Because Canada's set up in a similar way to the United Kingdom, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
exactly. Because, yeah, exactly. Like, our queen is your queen. Yeah, there's a lot of like connections. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't help but see because it's actually so crazy what's going on in Canada and how short of a time period all of this has taken place. But I can't help but feel like it's just a testing ground, and they're just using the Canadian citizens as tests to see what they can get away with, what they can normalize, and then roll it out in the other countries.
Yeah, like if they see no pushback from Canadians regarding this bill, then it will start being implemented in other countries in the West because they know they can get away with it.
Actually, Trudeau mentioned, and I don't know how long it was, but it was like some time ago, but it wasn't too long ago. Like, I don't know, in the last, let's say 8 to 10 years, at the least. And he's like, Trudeau claims that he admires China's basic dictatorship. So maybe that's all you need to know about this. Yeah. It's absurd to me. And yeah, I agree. Like, a lot of Canadians say that they want to move to the US, like they just can't like deal with what's happening here because we don't have like arms to protect ourselves. Did you guys know free speech is not kind of like in the Constitution like it is in America? Like there isn't really like a set in stone thing here. I'm not sure about over there, but it is. And there's a lot of Canadians though that are against everything that's happening. They're just not speaking up enough about it, or they're just afraid to. And that's the thing. And it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I think in the UK it's similar in the sense where we don't have free speech as a law or in the Constitution like they do in America. I was watching a video today. I'm not sure if you ever forgot what it's called. Constantine, Cam. What's his podcast called?
Trigonometry.
Trigonometry. It's a podcast with Constantine. He's a political comedian,
He's Russian, right?
talker. Yeah, he's an immigrant from Russia, and he came up with this. Said this stat in an interview I think it was 3,400 people in the UK have been arrested for content they've posted on social media.
Are you serious? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
One of them was a girl whose boyfriend died in a car accident. She posted some lyrics on Facebook of her boyfriend's favorite rap song, and it said the M word in it a few times. She got arrested for it. I think she got so many hours community service, a fine, and she was on a tag and under home arrest from 8 a.m. till from 8 p.m. till 8 a.m. every day.
Was this recent?
I think it was last year.
Wow. I have no words. Like, aren't there like lawyer like what that's the thing, right? Like that's the crazy thing about this. Like if they try to arrest you or fire you or suspend you, you have to, or from school, for example, like don't like you have to have like good lawyers and like are they even gonna fight for like that's insane. Like, I'm not one to swear or like use these words, but I don't think people should get arrested because that's if you start arresting people for these things, you're done. Like, sorry, you're done. Like there's no more freedom of us saying anything. Like I think people I actually wrote this down because I thought of this before, but I basically because sometimes I write down my thoughts. People think like, oh, you want free speech so you can spew your hatred towards people. No, like the funny thing is, yeah, like I said, I don't swear, I don't like call people names, but people don't realize that if we're not allowed to have meaningful discussions and opinions, we will be heading into massive problems. And why is it that one side can say things and the other side can't? It's all hypocritical to me, really.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is by censoring people and not giving people free speeches, who decides what is the right thing to say and what's the wrong thing to say? If it's the government, then the government is going to decide things that benefit them. If you're saying things that benefit them, then that's okay. If you're saying things that negatively impact them, then it's not okay. So it's just control over the population through speech.
Yeah, and it's also hypocritical because how is it that we cannot share civil opinions, but then we see all these artists, their music videos with all this nudity, Satanism, all this stuff happening, and that's okay. Like it's just a bunch of hypocrisy, really.
That is the main problem is who's going to be the one in control of it. If you start limiting people now, the way society's worked in the past, in terms of what you say and when you say it and where you say it, it's all based on a social sort of unwritten code of being nice to other people. But what they're doing is they're forcing people now to be nice but abide by their rules, which is obviously the big global elites rules for mass control. But it worked fine when it's a social system in place